Aloha everybody and greetings from Honolulu. I hope you're enjoying yourself on this December day and that if it's December where you are at the time you're watching this and that you're having a nice month. It's been fine here in Honolulu, although it's been a little bit rainy and a little bit on the cool side. I'm told if you live in Hawaii, you're not allowed to complain about the weather, so it's peachy keen and wonderful. So we're going through my Hawaiian record collection and we're on the letter L, starting the letter L today. And up first is a record called Hawaiian Holiday in HiFi, The Genius of Jack Liddell. This one is on Design Records, which was a budget label and usually just like recorded, like studio recordings of other things that had been previously released. But I guess early on in the label they did some original material, and this is original to them. Jack Liddell, he's doing kind of standard, a lot of the standard Hawaiian songs of the time, Sweet Leilani and Blue Hawaii. His vocal styling, he sounds very much like Bing Crosby, I will say. And what's interesting here also is that he is playing all of the instruments, the steel guitar and regular guitars and blah blah. It's all overdubbing with him singing. He's playing everything here. So yeah, Jack Liddell. Then we have another Jack something. This one is Jack LaForge, I believe. Hawaii and I, with orchestra conducted by Don Zabeski. This one, does it have a year on it? No. Purple Tone Records. This one's kind of interesting. It's a band. He's a piano player. There's also like a band and a combo. What's interesting for a lot of Hawaii people is that one of the singers here, the soloist on a couple of songs, is Keola Beamer, who at the time was a performer at the Hawaiian Room in the Hotel Lexington. So that's a very famous name here, Keola Beamer, the Beamer brothers, who went on to here in the islands have huge hits locally, record albums together and separately, Keola and Kapono Beamer. And their song Honolulu City Lights was one of the biggest hit songs in Hawaii of like the decade of the 80s. I think it was the song of the decade. But anyway, this is before all of that, and he's featured on a couple of songs. Throw Me a Little Kiss and something else. Lani. Anyway, interesting record. This one, tell you a little story about this one. Lahainaluna Sings. This is from Lahainaluna High School on the island of Maui. And in fact, there they are. This record actually was sent to me by a pen pal when I was in junior high school and high school. I had lots of pen pals, and I had several in Hawaii. I was living in South Carolina, and she sent me this record and some other stuff to sort of be representative of her home, and so I've had it ever since. But it's like a high school choral group, all guys, because it's like a guys boarding school or something. Yeah. And then there's another one later by the same people, well, different people, but it's Lahainaluna in concert. And again, these are students of the Lahainaluna school. And they're doing Hawaiian songs, as was the other one, Ku'one Hanau, Vaika, Hawaii Aloha, etc., etc. They're privately recorded labels. Okay, Island Love Songs. This is Lani Kai, kind of well known, even to some mainland people, because he was an actor. He was on the television show Adventures in Paradise. He also was sometimes an actor who would appear every so often on the original Hawaii Five-0 series. And a really nice looking guy. This album is great nationally, recorded on Decca National Records during the time period when Decca was recording a lot of Hawaiian artists. I love this album, love the arrangements, love the songs. This has a great playlist, this album. Um, not completely typical, but really great. How Nani Mine, Fragipani Blossom, Crushed Flowers in My Lay, 7 Days in Waikiki, Kainoa, Moana, Adventures in Paradise, Ring Around the Moon, etc. Autographed. Great, great album. I highly recommend it. I really like it. And I don't know if I should even share this story. It's kind of a personal story that I'm not sure I should share, but it's kind of what makes things interesting, so I guess I will. I used to be the program director at KCCN radio way back in the day in the 80s when it was an AM station, and it was the only all Hawaiian music station on the island of Oahu. That was it. So we were like it for Hawaiian music. This guy, of course, many years had gone by, and he was kind of re-entering the musical field, and he created some sort of production company, and that was going to release his and other artists' music. He has another album out, by the way, called The Many Sides of Lani Kai that I don't have, that's not Hawaiian at all. And when I can find it for cheap, I'll get it, but it's pretty expensive. Anyway, so this was during the 80s, and when it was cassette era, so they came out with their first cassette, which was him. I don't remember the name of the album. It was him doing a bunch of songs, and a song called Now Paka, which I believe he wrote, about these two flowers that grow like in separate halves. And on the cassette was another version of Now Paka, a very kind of cool disco-y with little Tahitian drums going. Hang on a second, that's my phone. Anyway, sorry about that. My doctor's office. I love it when they have an appointment and they don't tell you that you have to do lab work, and then they call to remind you to do your lab work and you can't eat, and I'm like, I'm working in the morning and I have to eat. We have to reschedule. Anyway, Lani Kai. So anyway, he's starting this label, and there's two versions of Naupaka on his CD, on his cassette, his version, and a version by Nohalani Cipriano, a very popular singer who did a lot of disco-y, but still very Hawaiian numbers. And we were playing her version because it was very popular. I mean, people were requesting it. We all loved it. It was a big hit. I mean, it was a hit, like Be Happy. It was a hit. And he calls me up. He calls me up and says, well, that's great, and now all according to plan, and now you can start, shifting it into my version to play. And we're like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, now stop playing hers and start playing mine. And we're like, it's very popular. Why would you want to do that? You know what I mean? So I had to sort of explain, he's very adamant about it, but I'm like, that's not how it works. I mean, I'm the program director, and you guys make the music, and then we decide what we're going to play, and the public is going to decide what's aired by the reaction that we get to what's being played. So, Nohalani Cipriano's version is a real hit, brah. We're not going to stop playing it. I mean, we're not going to, and his was much slower, and you wouldn't want to, it didn't make any sense to do that. Anyway, so what? He was really angry, and what happened was, and I don't believe this, they actually pulled the cassette release from the stores. They reissued it, taking Nohalani Cipriano's version off the cassette and leaving his on. And somehow, Nohalani Cipriano was able to have the rights or whatever to her version of it from that CD, which she released as a single and which sold very well. So, it's not like his was a bad cassette. I don't mean that. It's just like Nohalani Cipriano's version was hit, brother, hit. You don't want to pull it off the air, and it doesn't work that way. We decide what gets played, not the artist. Hello. Anyway, this is a great album, and I really recommend it. So let's listen to some samples. My love will come to me when there's a ring around the moon. I know it won't be long. Sing me a song of the island. My
Hawaii over the sea. Throw me a little kiss and say aloha. Tell the trade winds to bring it to me.
So I hope you enjoyed those samples, and if you like that kind of music, you can check out my other YouTube channel called Hawaiian Music Hour, where I upload selections from these albums in whole onto the website, so you can hear an entire song. Yeah, Hawaiian Music Hour. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.